Yeah, man. 16th of August 2024. And it's really an interesting time, uh, not just for us. Obviously, we have all kinds of weird stuff going on and have been for the longest time. And I don't really know how that all ties in with political things and stuff like that. But it's definitely an exciting time in politics. Very interesting. It hasn't been with like the world news and politics and the things going on around the news and the world and everything. It hasn't, to me, it hasn't been this interesting since like 2001. And that's really when I first was drawn into politics as a very young person at the time. But we all kind of had to pay attention to whatever was going on around the world because of what happened on 9/11 and whatever came after that. So everything was kind of in the spotlight. And that was the first time in my life that I became interested or even involved whatsoever with politics or news as what's really going on around the world. I mean, you hear about this and that or whatever, but you don't really look into it. And at that point, I really looked into what was going on and how I felt about it, and watching the different news, the different media outlets have their different way of talking about the same thing, and you kind of make a decision as to who do you believe. And it's I think it's really important in general for humanity to pay attention enough to have a deep enough understanding to come to a logical conclusion about what the actual truth is. With us, it's a little different, obviously, because we're dealing with something, and it's not even brought up yet. It's not as far as in politics and in the mainstream, the things that we deal with satellite broadcast and neurological unconsensual access to our neurological selves. I mean, it's something that hasn't even hit the radar yet. So we probably have a while before this is going to become like a political issue or something that is known about in the mainstream, and regardless of how many people kind of know about it. And one thing I can say that everybody that has neural monitoring is not gang stalking. A lot of people probably just use it for power and to I guess it would be gang stalking if you're using it to access somebody's neural monitoring unconsensually. That would make you part of the gang that is doing the stalking, and so you would be a gang stalker technically, but untechnically, there's many people that have neural monitoring that are most likely not bad people and that just have it, and they probably follow the rules that come with having it, as far as not getting yourself assassinated for saying too much, or not causing civil unrest in society, things like that. But I can tell you for absolute certain that I've met people that have neural monitoring, that I'm absolutely sure have neural monitoring, that are not using it for evil. And one person in particular that there was a person that I was friends with, and I thought maybe before I got on too much of a level with this person that I should mention this whole thing that I have going on, because just out of respect, like, I don't want to bring these problems to you. And when I mentioned those things, this person knew what I was talking about. And and then from there, it was just kind of like I would say something, and they would kind of give me a clue, you know, and and then there came an instance where they did something that solidified. Not that I was in doubt, okay, but um, it feels very good to have someone give you the confirmation that everything you know and everything that you talked about and everything that you believe is actually the truth. And that's what that person did for me. And there was a time where I thought and almost expected that they would give me my neural monitoring or show me how to access it and those kind of things. And then there was a time where they were kind of like giving me the, in very subtle, almost secretive ways, the terms of it, where it's like either you're in the circle or you're out of the circle. And and I understood that. And and if I'm not in the circle, then they're gonna have to sit this one out. And I'm gonna have to deal with this problem on my own. And I think I kind of chose to do it on my own. Maybe not so much as a full understanding as that was the terms, um, but I believe that was the terms, and and I would never, even though I have this platform and thousands and thousands of people that follow me and watch my videos and learn about this stuff from me, I would still not um, go against this person because I don't believe they're a bad person. Bottom line, that's it. And of course, I will always have this hope that they would help me, but I would understand like why they didn't, if they didn't, and because look at who I am and what I do, and I talk about this stuff publicly, and um, I believe that I can still win, and that confirmation from them that I was completely on the right track and I knew what I was talking about was a huge deal for me, even though I really kind of knew already. Um, I didn't even think I would be talking about this right now. It just kind of came up, but um, I don't know what exactly it would have meant to be in the circle, but I assume that being in the circle would mean that um, that I would have to let it all go as far as what's happened to me, and let it all go as far as telling everybody whatever I know and talking about it publicly. And I understand that that's uh, probably um, accurate terms, of what's required to have neural monitoring. And the problem is for me that a lot of people did a lot of things to try to destroy me, to try to kill me, to try to destroy my life, to destroy my relationships. And everything that they took away from me it's not something that I can get back. And I know that vengeance is wrong in a godly sense, but um, perhaps I'm not ready to let go of that. And maybe I'm not ready to say, fine, you did it to me. It's over with. You're forgiven. Now go. Because the torture continues, for one, day in, day out. It never stops, never has stopped. And their mentality, not the person I'm talking about, but the gang stalkers that do this kind of thing to me, their mentality is they think they'll just do it forever and get away with it. And when someone has that type of mentality, there's really only one way to deal with them, and that is to destroy them and the things that they do, to destroy their way of life. And if somebody was to give me neuromonitoring and I just had to shut the hell up and go away, then that would take away my ability to destroy their way of life, gang stalking. And so maybe that ties it up right there. And I'm not allowed to have my neuromonitoring, but that doesn't shut me up, and that doesn't stop me. And maybe one day they'll get rid of me once and for all. Maybe one day it'll be over their head, and somebody will have to get rid of me because I've learned too much. But as you guys know, I decided to learn everything I can about it, and at my own pace and at a reasonable, with reasonable circumstances. Like, as far as, like, I'm not going to go digging into some log files that I don't understand. I'm going to start from the bottom. And so I did. I started with computer programming and cybersecurity, and I'm almost done with one degree, halfway done with the other one, and I'll probably continue on with several other degrees after that. And I also learn everything I can about business and finance and political stuff and the world, and philosophy and everything else that I can soak up in a day's time. I do that. I soak it all up every day, and I probably spend a little too much time watching videos and stuff like that. But it's okay. I'm in it for the long term, and so at this point, like, they'll have to get rid of me if they don't want to have their way of life destroyed. And I mean, gang stalkers that use neuromonitoring and stay on mind control all the time and are obsessed, and they could care less about hurting people, and they're evil, and I think that they're wrong, and I think that I will get plenty of help along the way. But what's important is the longevity, I guess, because you really have to start somewhere and just take it from the bottom and go all the way. And if it takes 10 years, or if it takes 20 years, if you have 20 years, if you're not 70 years old, then you might have 20 years. And that's a long time to focus on a long-term goal. And obviously, I'm nowhere close to any of those ages. So I definitely have time, God willing. I'll have time if nothing stupid happens. And I try not to make anything stupid happen, because I vowed years ago that I would quit helping them to destroy myself. So I still hope that some people decide to help me, and I completely understand if people don't help me, and I'm just not sure at this point still that I'm willing to let them walk away after doing what all they've done to me, because they've taken things from me that I can never get back in this one life, time. And as bad as it is with gang stalking and the things that they do to you, I'm here to tell you that I have thousands of regrets about the way that I handled things throughout the years, from 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, all those years. Okay. And it's just been really since then that I've had like a couple times where I decided to start doing this, all the way back to like 17, 18, 19, 20. Those were like the 4 years that it really literally took me 4 years to transition from my mindset of, I want to go all in. I'm going to solve this problem, and it was some wild times. It was some wild times that I'll never tell you guys about, that, that are top secret in my own mind, that I could never disclose, of things that happened with me trying to get my neural monitoring and going against these gang stalkers. But it was also a time, all of those years, where I was literally back and forth between like, should I just, uh, go all in with renegade tactics, or should I try to learn these things because I feel like I'm smarter than them, and I'm very very confident that I'm smarter than most, if not all, of the people that are involved with gang stalking me. And it took all of those years and a lot more trouble and problems and risk and luck, all of those things over those years to finally completely make the transition. Okay, and I would start to study and come up with a plan, a long term uh, plan to devise a strategy, and then I would relapse back into the another way of life, and uh, it's wild, man. It's so crazy, and I'm lucky to be here, and I'm lucky to be alive, and I'm lucky to still. Uh, Only reason I feel like I'm still here is because God wants me still here, and it's just the truth. It's really the truth, and finally, after several years of back and forth with myself, then I decided, they can do what they want to do. I can't stop them from being idiots and being addicted to mind control and hating life and torturing people. But I can work on myself. And so I started to really focus on that direction. And I can blame them really for all of the problems that I had, but I also have to take some responsibility for myself for the way that I handled all of it, and it was critical, with some of the relationships with my close family and closest people that were destroyed. That I could have done it different, So there is a lot of regrets, but if you continue with the long-term goals and you continue to try for what it is you care about, and whether and I know it's your family, and I know it's like it's your children and your parents and your family, your close people, your husbands and wives and uh, brothers and sisters and close friends and people that you care about. Those relationships matter to us. And it's like so difficult for us when we're like, want people to believe us because we know we're right, that these things are happening to us. And we know we're not crazy. And we know it's like some technology and some people are doing this, but nobody can believe it because they haven't experienced it. And it's not physically possible for them to experience your neurological frequencies. And you would have to really kind of start understanding how neural monitoring works to really understand that. But we spent so much time, like, and it was so important to have the people that we love to believe us, and they didn't, and it ruined us. And those things are what they took from you, and you'll never get that back, that time. Okay, but you can get those relationships back, and you can allow more time to pass, and eventually your credibility will come back. And it's very possible that eventually the actual truth will come out about all of it, and a lot of people will be saying, I'm so sorry I didn't believe you. And don't hold it against them, because you wouldn't believe them either if the circumstances were reversed. So you never want to hold it against your family and your close people, friends and family and people that you care about and you love. You don't want to hold it against them because they don't understand. And they literally, genuinely think you've lost your mind. When no matter how sure you are and how much you know, that's just how it seems to them. And it's a very sad situation. And I'll take half the blame. I'll give these gang stalkers the other half, for stealing that time away from me. But they won't steal another minute. They won't steal another day. They won't steal anything else from me. They can maybe torture me and take away a little bit of health, and I'll go twice as hard to be more healthy. And everything they can never conquer my mind. They weren't able, even in the hardest times, to break me. Never. They were never able to break me. And that's a big deal. And the fact that a few of them are still lingering around, hoping that one day that happens, is pathetic. It really is, because it's obviously already over with, and we hit that plateau, and we went over that hump years and years ago. The worst years were like 16, 17, 18 for me. Okay, and 14 and 13, 14, 15 was like just the beginnings. That was the hacking and the random events and a little bit of street theater, and then it started to get more, and then that's when they're really messing with you, and you hardly even know it yet. The first 2 or 3 years in my situation, and then it got hardcore for 2 or 3 years, and then it started to hit that point where they couldn't win. They couldn't win, and the destruction of my life, in many ways being very successful, but overall failed. It failed completely, and they lost. At that point, they lost, and then I would start to move forward, and then I would kind of go back to dumb stuff, and then I would start to move forward and kind of go back to dumb stuff, where you're falling into their traps. But by maybe mid 2020 to sometime in the early 21, it was completely over with. I had made up my mind that they were not significant, and that I was going to do exactly what I wanted to do with my life, even if it takes 5, 10, 20 years. And that's the path that I've been on. And I know it's only been 3 or 4 years. I know it's only been 3 or 4 years, but in those few years, I completely turned everything around. My family, I think some of them actually believe me, even though I don't spend any time trying to convince them of anything. But just the logicality and the way that it continues to play out, they're starting to say, "Oh, whoa, did that? Are you kidding me? If that can really happen?" Because, and I'll tell you this: the more success you have, and the more progress you make, the more that they will believe you anyway. Just because your credibility grows, and things happen, and they start to understand what you're talking about more, even though you're not really talking about it anymore, which is a big thing, to not even talk about it anymore, because what's happening. Okay, who understands. It's us. It's us watching this video, me, you guys. We understand. And anybody who hasn't experienced it personally, it would be like riding Falcor in the Never-Ending Story. Like if you hadn't personally experienced that, you would know that it couldn't be true, right? I mean, some of you guys don't have any idea what that is, but that's a movie they used to, anyway, play back in school when I was younger. But it's a long road. It's a long game. And for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been playing that long game. And you can probably tell the difference. If you watch my videos from 5, 6 years ago, it's probably wild and dramatic. I don't even go back and watch them. And most of my videos are on the membership side, like thousands and thousands, probably 7,000 or 8,000 videos, no exaggeration. I think I have maybe 8,000 or 9,000 total videos on this channel. If you ever want to see the wild stuff, even some of the public ones are like 8 or 9 years old probably, but there's only maybe 4 400 or so public videos of the 8 or 9,000, however many it is. So the rest of them, but you can find all of that, and you can see the difference in me, and how I was dealing with it, and how I became more patient, which I prayed for, and how I became more focused, less angry, and willing to play a longer game to try to make sure that I understand how to go about this. And I will tell you still, unless you're like a pretty serious physicist with light spectrums and waves and just all the different wavelengths and type of radio and different types of broadcasts and all those kind of things, then computer science is the best route that you would want to take. And gang stalkers are all over everything. And people that say I've been targeted for my whole life, maybe you have, and I'm not saying that you haven't, but what I'm saying is that if you've been targeted for more than about 30 years, then it's not very likely that we're dealing with the same thing. Because the targeting that most of us are experiencing is with gang stalkers, which are normal people. In most cases, there are normal, everyday people that you wouldn't know that they're different, because I know plenty of them, okay? Personally, that's where all the insight comes from. It's not because I just have a good imagination and I thought up these ways maybe they're doing it. I don't come on here and just say random stuff like that. I'm coming on here telling you because I know a bunch of people that ended up getting neural monitoring, and it was like this thing going around and people were getting it, and I happen to know a bunch of those people, and none of them are anybody important, and for the most part they're nobody special at all. I know of a couple of them that know or were related to some people that were somewhat important. Okay, but otherwise, most of them they're just average, everyday people, and a lot of them are like on drugs, and it seems to almost be a requirement to be like a drug addict, to become a gang stalker, and it's part of the mentality, the addiction, and because mind control is like a drug, to be able to receive something that is enlightening or makes you feel different. If people take drugs, they want to get an elevated consciousness or feel different or escape reality or something like that. And that's everything that a gang stalker wants. They want to connect to you because they can't think like you, and now they're enlightened. They want to feel different, and you feel different than they feel. Or they hate their life and they want to escape, so they want to live as you or live as a broadcast and not be such a pathetic loser laying in the room without taking showers and not healthy. There's people that become nasty gang stalkers that want to torture and destroy lives and those kind of things. They are the same people that are drug addicts and stuff like that, and they just happen to get neural monitoring. Because like I told you, I know people that have neural monitoring that are not bad people. And some of those people, one in particular, it was some of the most enlightening, important experiences that I've had as far as neural monitoring. And especially to understand that they're not all bad people, and that there must be some rules about neural monitoring as far as giving it out. Now, I know that they give it around to each other, and I know that these idiots don't follow the rules very well, and that's why a bunch of us end up in this situation, because idiots get a hold of it. Okay, and when you give a bunch of idiots power, a bunch of drug addict morons get power, then this is the kind of thing that can happen. Who can stop them? It's not supposed to exist, right? So you can't just go and arrest them for broadcast torture and remote neural monitoring, right? So the whole thing is it's really wild, man. There's a lot of things that I wish I could tell you guys that I'll never probably ever be able to say. I should probably write some books or something, but um, ultimately, the goal is to get your neural monitoring, and it is a long-term goal, and it's going to require a lot of knowledge, because the people who have been doing this to you are going to try everything they can to make sure that you never get it, and you're going to have to come up on some very serious capabilities to override them. Meaning, like, if I was to find out um, how they're doing the live streams on meta platforms or something like that, and decide to share that publicly, well, I'm sure at that point I'm breaking the rules, but I don't have to apply the rules because I'm a victim, right? So at that point, I'm probably going to have some people approaching me saying, hey, you can't say that, but we're going to give you your neural monitoring and all this stuff. And that, like, ultimately, I'm going to protect myself and my family. And I've been right here giving you guys the direction and the real knowledge about how this works for a long time. But computer science is very important, because everything they do is online. If you've been targeted for longer than the internet has existed, then you're talking about some kind of MK Ultra government type of thing. And maybe it's the same thing, okay, but you're not dealing with the same people. You're dealing with some kind of government experiment or something like that. But if you're targeted by regular gang stalkers that do the same stupid tactics that we talk about on this channel for all these years, then you're talking about remote neural monitoring that's been going on since maybe the mid 2000s, maybe back into the 90s, when personal computers and internet started to become a thing. Okay, you have satellites and satellite broadcasts, and it's linked with the internet to have some interface to be able to go on to the interface, whether however you bring it up, if it's a program or if it's online where you access it over the web, or whether it's a command line thing. But you have to be able to control the settings with neural monitoring, and that's over the internet. And the settings that you're controlling would be based on a satellite, like what the capabilities are, the satellite. The control panel will be over the internet. So those things have to be existing already for us to be able to have these experiences. So if you've been targeted since the 70s or the 80s, I don't really know what you're talking about. You're talking about something different than I'm talking about, because I don't believe that gang stalking in the way that we know it exists that far back, because there was no internet publicly. And what we're dealing with is normal people that are public normal people that are accessing the stuff over the internet, which integrates with a satellite broadcast system on some interface that's online. That's how a gang stalker can just come on your channel, because they have their neural monitoring. They're accessing that online, however they have it. Okay, I've seen it in some ways. I've seen where they have it integrated in to an application, like a Facebook app. It's exactly what I saw. They had it integrated into a customized Facebook app. Okay, but it's very likely that you could take neural monitoring, whatever it is, and the program that it is, and integrate that into any type of application, or just have it on a command line or on a computer in general. But they have to hide it. They use virtual devices, and they use modified applications with secret backdoors to go into those kind of settings. I promise it's the truth. I promise you that's the truth. I'm not making it up. These are things that I know from personal experience, from eyewitnessing these things. So it's definitely something that requires the internet, and it requires devices to be able to go onto those interfaces and control those settings that would cause the things to happen from the satellite broadcast system. if somebody has their neural monitoring and they have access to yours and they make those unconsensual connections, and now they can talk to you from somewhere else. Okay, and they had to set all those settings. And that's reality. They're not doing magic. It's not demons. You'll hear all kinds of ridiculous stuff, okay? It's not demons, and it's not whatever else you might hear. They're actually, that's why somebody can just come on your channel and then go away. Because they can just come on, make the setting, do what they want to do, talk to you, say what they want to say, do a voice setting, where they sound like some kind of evil demon or a screaming girl or whatever. They do that kind of stuff, but it's all a setting that they can just set and then disconnect, boom, 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 they're gone, disconnect from their neural monitoring from your neural monitoring, and they're gone. And the difference between them and you is they have access to their neural monitoring. They can control who can connect to them, so they don't allow people to connect to them, attack them, do things to them unconsensually. They connect to each other in a lot of weird ways. It comes to sexual stuff and mind control, like getting together with all kinds of virtual broadcasts, weird stuff they do, which I've talked about extensively on this channel over years and years. And they can do that with each other, and they can do that with you. And you don't have control over it because you don't have your neural monitoring. It'd be like if you had a Facebook, okay, but you didn't have access to it, and only I did. And I could go on there and change all your settings and befriend myself, and then whatever, make all these different conversations, except for it's more advanced than that, where you have actual mind control and broadcast settings, and you can connect to somebody and receive them neurologically. It's how they know what you think. And the satellites can read all of that. It's EMF broadcasts. So anyway, just, you guys, I want you to really take some time to evaluate your life and decide, make some decisions that you're going to go about this in a way that's sustainable and feasible. And even if it takes 5 or 10 or 20 years, it's feasible. It's feasible, and you'll have a lot more respect and you'll have a lot more integrity if you go about this in a way that is sustainable long term. And so I'm just on that slow grind, and I'm obtaining more knowledge and putting myself in a better position and developing better relationships with my close people and repairing the damage that was done by the gang stalkers and myself over those years that were so wild. And just make sure you stay healthy and do everything you can to live the right way and make yourself knowledgeable about the things going on in the world. It's a very exciting and important time in political things. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for or tell you any recommendations or tell you that who I would vote for, but I can tell you that there's some people that are really bringing everybody together, and a lot of people understand that this is a very important time, and there's a lot at stake, and we don't even really know the real history. Who knows what the real history is, but I know a lot of the things that you hear and that we were taught and that we've learned are not the actual truth. And there's a lot of corruption out there, and you really have to take the time to think for yourself. And anyway, I'm not going to go on and on. You guys are the best, man. Thank you so much for supporting my channel over all these years and following me. I can't believe that I got so many thousands of people that follow my channel. It's really amazing. You guys are stuck with me through all kinds of nightmares, and I appreciate that so much, and it just continues to grow. Share the videos everywhere. Make some comments, like the videos, holler at me. I always try to respond as much as I can, and I'm definitely open to doing some collaborations or any of that. But just live your best life, guys. No matter, they can't take it away from you. They can't take it from us. They can try everything they want. They're the miserable ones, not us. They really are. So live your best life. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.